Hello and welcome to another edition of Goa 365 Face to Face. With me today is Nitin Kukolikar. He is a well-known businessman from Goa, but now he is involved in things way beyond Goa too. Welcome Nitin to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could you tell us in your words and in your experience of these past couple of months, how has this COVID-19 virus affected the state?
Actually, when you say that we are facing one of the bad times, is a very mild statement. These are actually one of the worst times
Okay,
we have ever faced in our lifetime.
okay,
So we must
fair enough.
understand that this pandemic has really created a massive uh, problem for the society and also the economy. As far as Goa is concerned, we have been badly impacted. At times, we were thinking that pharmaceutical Goa is one of the major pharma hub. We almost cater to 20-25% of the total major pharma products of the country. And we were thinking that pharma might be doing very well. But due to this lockdown all across the country, the doctor's prescription business also has stopped. Some of the pharmas have reported 30 to 35% of impact, and that's quite a big thing.
That's a
Then
huge,
look at
huge thing. Huge.
huge impact. And secondly, the impact on other sectors like other manufacturing sectors. In electronics, there is a massive impact. From January, the impact started by supply chain disruptions from China not being in a position to supply the raw materials. And
Correct.
later on, somewhere in uh, March, they opened up and India started getting into lockdowns. Post 2 months after that, somewhere in July, this India-China standoff also took place. So overall, there was a huge impact on the supply chain. Largely, the manufacturing sector also is dependent on Chinese raw material.
Correct. Correct.
So there has been an impact from supply chain perspective. There has been an impact from the consumption perspective. You can make out from GST collection in the month of April. Our GST collection was merely 32 crores as against 330 crores last year. So
Wow,
you can,
that's really big.
yeah,
Yeah. That's really
actually you can make out the impact on the state. And GST is a consumption based tax. See, the state finances are impacted. There is a very poor GST collection. Hardly stamp duty collection has gone low because there is no demand for the real estate. Then other tax and non-tax revenues are also impacted of the government. Tourism, excise, like tourism has completely gone to toss in Goa. The real estate sector has gone to toss. So obviously we are impacted. The consumption is impacted. People were not moving out. The retail economy got impacted severely. The entertainment sector, like malls, I can put malls into entertainment as well. The
correct. Yes.
theaters, then retail shops, restaurants, everything got into a chaos. To add to the problem, the migrant issues, substantial number of migrants got insecure
Labor,
and they
labor
started
issue.
moving out. Yeah, they started going back to their towns, creating a shortage of workmen within the state. People, even if there is an opportunity in front of you, government has given a permission for you to start. You are not in a position to start.
Now the government and industry they have sat together, and the chief minister has had various meetings that I personally know of, and I'm sure you also do. One of the
Yeah.
points that has come up there is the ease of doing business. So could you tell me, like, in your interactions with the industry, what you would like and what the government has done till date, and what would you think the government is going to do in the next few days?
I must compliment this chief minister. He's one of my favorite chief ministers. Let me tell you that. It's not just because he's on chair, I am saying this. He is not a publicity centric chief minister. That's one of the most beautiful thing I like about him. I have personally seen him conducting 3 to 4 major meetings, one pertaining to tourism sector. He called only 2 people from tourism, but he got all his officials and virtually pushed them to create a new tourism path. I mean, new tourism, what do you call, model for the state. But he
Okay.
has really taken concrete steps, and I could admire him for taking the bold steps. Second, on 14th July 2000, 14 July last, he conducted a meeting of all the top senior officials from the secretaries, the head of the departments, and again I happened to be there. I was invited by them, and he gave clear direction on the ease of doing business pertaining to real estate sector. May it
Okay.
be conversion related topics, may it be linked to town and country planning department, from panchayat thing, and various initiatives are planned. And I've seen his secretary also being chasing these topics. It takes time. Nothing will happen just because he will announce and but he has taken decisions. It may take 2 to 3 months or 4 months, but things are in pipeline. When he dealt with ease of doing business for real estate sector, he
Okay.
told them very categorically that real estate sector, when I say it's not only builders, real estate sector has an impact on tourism, real estate
Correct.
decisions has an impact on the industry, it has impact on every possible sector, and I want a very, very robust real estate sector. He
Okay.
is also taking cost. Of course, today his hands are tied because of the state finances. He cannot give or write off some of the financial
Loan.
incentives. He's not in a position to give. That's a handicap. But he's
Yes.
still trying to go and cross this path by giving some liberalized approach towards this process.
Yeah, okay. We were talking about this telecom. No, I would like, before you get into telecom, I would like to add to telecom, IT, and today education along with IT. Yeah, this could, if you could talk about bring along with telecom this IT and education, because students cannot go to school, children cannot go to school. On that, if you could give us a few
Yeah.
your this on this
So, Glenn, a
inputs.
very interesting part is Goa at one time in 2000. I was that time not president of chamber. I was about to become president of chamber, and that time Mr. Jagmohan had come to Goa on that was in on 31st March 1999,
Okay.
and I took him to Verna. I happened to meet him. I took him to Verna. He spent a full day with us on 2nd April 1999. And that's where the internet revolution started for Goa. Goa got a dedicated server. And Goa had that time two STD codes, 832 and 834. From 1st May 99, we became one.
Wow.
One code for Goa. And
Yes.
that's where a lot of decisions which were taken for internet and telecom sector of Goa were revolutionary. Goa got a very good best of the exchanges. Goa got entire fiber backbone. We got ring networks, and there was sophistication. But over the period of time, if you see from 2005 onwards or 2006, we could not catch up pace with the what happened in the country as a whole. The telecom, there was a major revolution in the country. Internet started penetrating. We moved from a regime of 2G to 3G to 4G. So Goa did suffer. It's not because there was no will on part of the telecom operators or from the government. It was more due to the agitations that happened against the tower. There were misconceptions about tower. People were opposing tower. Today, Goa, what we need is a liberalized policy towards installation of tower. It is not only the people agitation, but you need to also, as a telecom operator, you need to deal with multiple agencies. You need to deal with panchayat, you need to deal with municipality. In Panjim, for example, you need to deal with municipality, you need to deal with tourism, you need to deal with PWD. Every possible agency you to deal with. So, in this regard, I sensitized Honorable Chief Minister. Then we also got to know that in 2016, Government of India had set up right-of-way rules. So he has given direction, and I am very optimistic. Even the Honorable Minister for IT has also announced that the right-of-way rules will be announced soon.
Let me interrupt, Nitin, just a second. What I'm saying, the Chief Minister has spoken to us. He said that he would, within a month, he would finalize these mobiles and these telecom things. So I'm sure you are aware of any of this, how they're going, besides revenue line.
Yeah, so government, they are coming out with right-of-way rules, and they are taking decisions. But
Okay.
Chief Minister alone cannot. See, we all demand telecom connectivity, right? We need a good
Yes.
bandwidth, we need
Yes.
good voice
Yes.
quality. How
Yes.
does that happen? You need to build up infrastructure, right?
Yes.
Why don't we come on and build up a pressure on the system? Why do we only blame government for that? Today, government has not stopped you from installation of towers. Towers is important infrastructure of, important part of telecom infrastructure. Now, how do we create a mission in the state of Goa? Is it possible to have a best internet connectivity without towers? It is not possible. Do you have some technology like that somewhere in the world? Can you give a solution? No one is giving solution. Everyone wants internet. Everyone wants. Today with pandemic, it is not possible to run the schools. They don't want to send a child to the school. They want child to work from home. Then some people are also not interested in going to workplace. They say we want to work from home. Then they we will work on internet. How does the internet come? It does not come by magic. You need to build up infrastructure. I think this is where the sensitization of people is important.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a very good point. We really
Yeah,
need to,
yeah.
for the people also, in case, see, it's always a give and take. If we want good internet, we want good connectivity, we want all these things, fibers and all that, we need to also cooperate with the government to see that towers are, because without towers, without cables, without laying cables, it's not possible to get good. There is absolutely
80%,
nothing. Absolutely. Right,
Glenn,
Nitin?
80% of the panchayats are creating you maximum harassment. If you, the moment you go to install a legitimate tower with legitimate approvals, there is no guarantee. The same guys who talk about 73rd Amendment of Constitution saying that power should be given to Gram Sabha, I understand. But the same people also don't give us constitutional right of doing business. Right of occupation also is a constitutional right, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right of
Absolutely.
education also is a constitutional right. Why don't
Absolutely.
panchayats understand? Why don't the the local bodies understand? Why do they create the panchayats? Select panchayats are creating problem. They just want to extort money. I think
Absolutely. Yes.
citizens of those areas should teach them lessons.
I agree.
There
Yes,
should be
absolutely.
civic movement for demanding quality of soft infrastructure into the state. I think that's
Yeah.
very important.
We are going into a short break and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back.
Today, the world has become a virtual world, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
So, every child of the state and everyone, all of us are going to compete with the global players, right?
Yes.
So today, and rest of the country is going to get best of the facilities in terms of infrastructure. Like they will get best of the internet. So the pattern of education also will change. There will be drastic change in the life. Are we
Yes.
going to remain backward?
No.
Are we going to remain electronically challenged? Aren't we supposed to go forward? So how do we do that? We need to build. See, tomorrow by 2022, government has announced the plans to roll out for 5G, right?
Yes.
Now 5G, if not 2022, at least 2023 or 24, 5G is unavoidable. It's going to penetrate. Now in 5G, your antennas would become active. Today, the antennas which you had for 2G, 3G, and 4G, they were passive. In 4G, they became LTE, long-term evolution products with MIMO. But
Yes.
what happens in 5G? They are going to become active networking telecom towers. So what do? Again, there will be massive changes in infrastructure. Are we going to oppose all the time?
Most of us Indians, we claim that we are on the cusp of being a superpower. But is communication not one of the first, besides law and order and corruption, but is communication not one of the first pillars of that superpower status? Or even power, forget the super part, at least the power.
You look at India's growth from 97 onwards. In 1997, India had a teledensity of 0.8.
Yes.
And the planning commission had made a plan of 2001 to 2007 saying that the teledensity we will achieve 7. Whereas in 2010, the actual, when India adopted a GSM and went for the latest technology, We were at almost 42 in 2007, and today India is at a teledensity of 91. In a
Correct.
country like India of 130 crore people, to be able to
Hello.
achieve this kind of teledensity means the communication is the essence of our growth.
Yes.
If you see the internet and development of telecommunication, one is by way of constructing big roads. Most of the countries have proved that road connectivity is one, and second, virtual connectivity have led to the growth of economy and as well as quality of social sector and society. So it was said that a massive revolution in internet can give a GDP hike by at least 1 to 1.5%. This was a study conducted. India was growing at 7 and 8% when our agriculture, which is contributing almost 21% to GDP, was growing only at a rate of 4%. That means the real growth came from non-agricultural sectors, right?
Absolutely.
And telecom played a major role in communication,
Yes.
telling you India has a challenge in educating people because of poverty and people are remote. But through technology means virtual technology, virtual means we can actually overcome the need of physical infrastructure for education. A lot of government schools also have moved out virtual. So with this trend, I'm sure in a year's time or 6 months' time, we will move forward. Look at the initiative of Honorable Chief Minister for conducting 10th and 12th standard exams. Remember, everyone like that time was in panic mode. Some politicians were trying to settle scores on the government by filing petitions. Some parents were playing dirty. Some political, even some journalists were creating a lot of negative stories. Imagine if Chief Minister would not have taken this 10th and 12th exams in the month of May. Today, the future of students. Imagine, was it possible to conduct exams in June and July?
Not possible.
It was not possible.
Impossible.
It was pathetic, right? That means the students would have left with an option. Rest of the country would have gone for competitive exams and all, and our students would have been deprived.
CM always talks about e-governance. Now, offshoot of what do you say? This of connectivity and good range and all that is e-governance, because once e-governance is put in place everywhere, be it at panchayat level, below that, departments, various things, then automatically another pillar where for us to evolve, that is corruption, automatically gets diminished, no, by the very nature of the beast of e-governance. Don't you think, Nitin?
Boss, I'll tell you one thing very frankly. This chief minister is a low profile. He wants to act more and talk less. I'll tell you, in e-governance, you will see a lot of initiatives. In fact, we are also pressing hard. But what is more important is governance.
Yes.
In governance, what happens? You try and take, first, there are a lot of processes. You have created a lot of manual process. You have created a lot of legal system. You need to overcome that. There are a lot of hurdles in not only from officials, but due to judiciary's intervention. Like, for example, a private forest issue. One directive is there from Honorable Supreme Court saying that with certain norms, with 0.1 canopy density and more than 10,000 square meter land, you cannot recommend conversion. Now, what you would do? What chief minister can do by putting e-governance in place? See, first governance and the legal hassles, the processes, the instructions, attitude of the official should be put in place. And it is a legacy issue. It is not that issue where you can just become a chief minister and within 6 months and 1 year you can put it in place. So first we need to address governance issues, and slowly, one by one, lot of initiatives are being taken because we have been noticing this happening. What we lack in this country is integration. You see, in central government, different departments of the government, they don't talk to each other. There is a disconnect. Within one ministry, two departments don't talk. Within one department, two sections don't talk. There is a communication gap. State and center, because of the federal structure, has a gap. Now, in the state, you are having a lot of central government agencies like Goa has airport, MPT, railway. They work in their own thought process. So at times we are paying a price for being having a different federal structure. So in e-governance, also which is linked to ease of doing business, there are central laws, there are state laws, there are mixed central and state laws. I mean, the concurrent list which we talk about. So there is a lot of hodgepodge we need to slowly come over. Secondly, we need to build up an integration platform. Each department today is going for computerization and they say you fill up the form. I fill up the form, I get some approval. But that I still have to go to multiple departments. Like for example, town and country planning department and revenue department. If I need a conversion of the land under section 32, I apply to the collector or a deputy collector.
Correct.
Now in such a scenario, why when the zoning is decided by town and country planning department, why do I have to go for a zone certification from a collector? Giving a sanad, that means only the settlement land they decide that I can give a sanad.
And
So
better if it goes through online, no, or e-governance.
yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. First of all, it should go under e-governance in an integration process. So if you apply to collector, all this data should be available between all the departments under one zone, and grant of permission should come. But now citizens and the stakeholders should also build pressure on the system. It is pressure means not only the political system but also on the bureaucrats. 60 to 70% of the jobs are held up at the bureaucrats level. The
This, you don't know,
bureaucrats
Nitin, this is something that I have always said. This is something that I'm very think. But don't you think that more than that, of course, if we get the support, if the people, when I say we, if the people get the support of the politicians to ensure that the bureaucrats give time-bound services, if the pressure is put from top, then the bureaucrats obviously are going to, because what happens is now, for example, if a person makes a noise, if a common man makes a noise in an office, he'll just throw him out. And then he say, what are you going to do? What option has that person? So that political will, does the chief minister have this political will to ensure that the bureaucrats do the job? And is he going to back his people to ensure that time-bound services without any problem is come? You feel he will?
It is not a very easy task. I have seen various governments and various chief minister, including our honorable chief minister, ex-chief minister like Manohar Parrikar was very assertive. He also had a lot of willingness. He also wanted to do a lot of changes, but it does not happen. There are various factors. We simplify the laws, we need to integrate, and there should be a good sound stakeholder pressure. Unless until civic society wakes up and start building pressure, these things won't happen easily.
Do you find that this chief minister, how do you find him? Do you find he's easy to deal with? You think he will support? If he gets the support, will he do? Because many times, see, I always say there is always a slip between cup and the lip, and this many aspects of COVID management which have been rectified now after so many shows. But you feel that this chief minister, how do you find him? Will he listen? Will he learn? Will he do? How do you find him in general? What do you feel?
First and foremost, I am really impressed with his grasping power.
Okay.
I had seen Mr. Manohar Parrikar having a very good grasp. Mr.
Yes.
Rani had a very good grasp. Digambar Kamath
administrator,
also had a very good understanding. And today I have seen in 1 year's period, this chief minister has picked up things very fast. His grasp is amazing. He's very intellectual. Second aspect I have seen is he is eager to do things. He's a pushy guy. I've seen many times when we address some issues, he really pushed. He will call up, phone, pressurize. Now, probably he need to build up a team. He need to recreate a team, which Mr. Parrikar also had built up a team. Every chief minister has to build his own team. Yeah, it happens over a period of time. See, you have to understand one thing. The state went into a financial crisis, and Mr. Pramod Sawant, when he took over as a chief minister, he had to face a lot of crises, from COVID to financial crisis to one after another. And any chief minister would have gone through a mess, but this guy somehow is holding. Let me tell you what happened with the financial crisis and why. 2008 to 12, Goa did very well in mining. Lot of revenue was coming up. Lot of money was flowing into the state. So we thought we are a very rich state. A lot of royalty payments were coming. Economy
Correct.
was doing well because mining was tourism, mining, every sector was booming. As a result of which, there was a chain effect because mining people were earning good. They were also buying a lot of real estate and all. Real estate went up, and that created an impression that we are a rich state. So in 2000, before 2012, even Mr. Digambar Kamath and the government created heavy infrastructure, like for example, South Goa Hospital, which is a huge place, and collectorate. I don't think that kind of collectorate was required for state of Goa. It's a huge
Huge,
spending,
huge.
but
Yes.
it was that time probably they thought the state has enough resources. Then Mr. Parikar took over also in the same in 2012. There was enough in the kitty
Money.
of the government. So Mr. Parikar also went ahead with Mandavi Bridge. He told central government not to spend. Then he reduced the tax on petrol. He virtually brought it down to one of the lowest. Then he came out with lot of social security schemes, major social security schemes or welfare schemes, which created a drain on the state. At that time, all equations were made assuming that 2000 to 12 your state conditions are good. But 2012, once your mining got stopped, no one knew that mining would stop for 6 to 10 years. Now it's almost 8 years. So
Eight,
mining created
nine.
a major impact on the state. With this mining, the ecosystem or the value chain of mining which was built up in the state got impacted very, very badly. As a result of which, Goa revenue collection started falling down. Then in 2014, then 16, 17 election, Mr. Parikar took charge again. Then what happened? Obviously, Goa could have done very well under his leadership that time. He was one of the strong ministers of government of India, and he had a very good reputation and a status in Delhi. Very good rapport with PM as well. So by that time, he fell sick. So, and still he was in chair as a chief minister, but he could not function
Perform.
properly. So Goa administration got paralyzed. It's a fact. It's an open fact that Goa administration in that year got completely paralyzed, and the finances, the administration, the governance. Obviously, when the chief minister is not well and chief minister is
Yes.
not able to contribute, it
Yes.
impacted. People don't speak about it.
Yeah.
Mr. Parikar, we were very good friends also, but this is the truth.
Yes.
Now, in that scenario, when everything had collapsed, Dr. Pramod Sawant took over as a chief minister. So, imagine, and that too in a situation where he had to face different challenges, even internal political
Absolutely.
disruptions. So,
Correct.
which I feel he handled very well. He was very bold. He had shown courage, and I think one once this COVID issue is settled to some extent, which will give him a breathing time, the best of Dr. Pramod Sawant would certainly come. As far as he is concerned, I feel in today's situation, probably is doing extremely well. In Delhi, people are also appreciating his role. I did get that feedback.
No, I'm pretty sure we will be able to cross this hurdle to as a state. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
No, no,
Thank you.
and keep watching Goa
Yeah, thank you.
365.